So what if, like, everything that happens, every single thing, even the really awful stuff, actually happens for the best?
It sounds nice, doesn't it? Comforting.
Totally. But imagine really living by that through, every possible horror, every absurdity you can think of.
Well, that's pretty much the journey we're going on today.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive into Voltaire's Candide. It came out way back in 1759.
A classic of satire.
Right. And you've sent us excerpts, so our mission, really, is to travel with young Candide.
Yeah.
He starts off incredibly naive.
In this supposedly perfect world.
And we follow him to a pretty shocking conclusion. We're basically exploring how the real world just constantly batters his mentor's famous idea that this is the best of all possible worlds.
It's such a great setup because Voltaire was directly taking aim at the big philosophical ideas of his day, specifically Leibniz.
Leibniz, right, the German philosopher.
Yeah, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. He had this whole argument. God is perfect, God is all-powerful, so naturally the world he created must be the absolute best version possible.
Okay, the best of all possible worlds.
Exactly, and Voltaire is just ready to tear that idea apart with Candide.
And he starts right away, doesn't he, with Candide himself. He's this sweet kid in Westphalia.
Sweet, but maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed initially.
Yeah. Living in this amazing castle, Baron Thunder Ten Tronck's place.
Yeah.
It sounds like paradise.
It's presented that way, definitely, like Eden.
And his teacher is this guy, Dr. Pangloss. Voltaire calls him the oracle of the family.
Right, the supposed wise man.
And he teaches, get this, metaphysico-theologo-cosmolonicology.
It's such a perfect name, deliberately ridiculous.
It really is. What does that even mean?
Oh, that's the point. It's this jumble of metaphysics, theology, cosmology, basically trying to jam everything into one neat, optimistic system that proves his point. That there's no effect without a cause, and everything is designed for the absolute best outcome.
And he has proofs for this.
Oh, yeah, his famous proofs. Noses, clearly made to hold spectacles.
Right.
Legs, obviously designed for wearing stockings. And stones. Well, they were made so we could build magnificent castles like the barons. Because, the greatest baron ought to have the best castle.
It sounds less like philosophy and more like just justifying the status quo.
Exactly. It's intellectual gymnastics to make reality fit the theory.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
So Pangloss thinks everything's perfect, everything has a purpose, and Candide just laps it up.
Completely. He's young, naive. He thinks the Baron is the greatest, Miss Cunegund is the most beautiful, and hearing Dr. Pangloss talk is the ultimate intellectual experience.
But this perfect little bubble doesn't last long, does it?
Nope. Enter Miss Cunegund. She sees Pangloss giving the chambermaid a little lesson in experimental philosophy.
Right.
And gets an idea. She and Candide share a kiss behind a screen.
Innocent enough.
You'd think. But the Baron sees this cause and effect, as Voltaire puts it, and immediately kicks Candide out of the castle, literally kicks him out.
So much for paradise.
Exactly. Kicked out, heartbroken, no dinner, and bam, he's thrown into the real world.
And that world immediately starts punching holes in Pangloss's whole theory.
Oh, instantly and brutally. It's Voltaire saying, okay, let's see how your detached philosophy holds up against this.
Yeah, you can say that again. He's barely out the gate, and what happens? He gets tricked into joining the Bulgarian army.
Right. These guys in blue uniforms flatter him, buy him dinner, then slap handcuffs on him. Welcome to the military.
And it's not exactly glamorous, is it?
Not even close. It's brutal training. 30 blows with a cane one day, 20 the next. He's suddenly a hero, but hasn't done anything.
And then he just tries to go for a walk.
Yeah, he thinks, freedom of movement, basic human right. Nope. They grab him, and he has to choose. Run the gauntlet 36 times or get shot 12 times in the head.
Jeez, some choice.
It's stark. And then Voltaire throws us right into the thick of battle. The heroic butchery between the Bulgarians and the Abares.
The description is something else.
Isn't it? Trumpets, fifes, drums, cannons creating such harmony as never was heard in hell itself. Thousands dead in an instant, villages burned.
Yeah, the details are horrifying. Old men watching their wives' throats get cut, young women violated and dismembered.
It's incredibly graphic. Voltaire is forcing you, the reader, to confront the sheer horror. How does this fit into the best of all possible worlds?
You really have to wonder, if this is the best, what on earth could the worst possibly look like?
Precisely. It makes Pangloss's neat little arguments back in the castle seem, well, obscene almost, detached from any kind of human reality.
The contrast is just staggering.
Yeah.
The brains and limbs scattered everywhere versus the idea that it's all somehow perfectly ordained.
It immediately makes you question if that kind of optimism is just a luxury, something only possible if you're shielded from the world's ugliness.
So Candide manages to escape this nightmare. Where does he head next?
He makes his way to Holland. He figures, it's a Christian country. People will be charitable.
And are they?
Not exactly. He asks for help from this order who's literally preaching about charity. But the order asks if Candide thinks the Pope is the Antichrist. Candide isn't sure, so the order refuses him help.
Wow.
And then the order's wife dumps a bucket of, well, unpleasantness on his head from a window.
So much for Christian charity. That's incredibly cynical.
Voltaire doesn't hold back on hypocrisy, but then there's a twist. An Anabaptist named James, someone outside the mainstream religious structure, sees Candide.
Anabaptist, so not part of the established church.
Right, and he shows genuine kindness, takes Candide in, cleans him up, feeds him, even offers him work in his factory.
So real charity comes from an unexpected place.
That seems to be Voltaire's point. True goodness isn't always found where you expect it, especially not tied up in rigid dogma.
Candide must be thinking, okay, this proved Pangloss was right. See, kindness exists.
He probably is trying to cling to that optimism.
Wow.
But then, guess who shows up?
Oh no, don't tell me.
Pangloss himself, but not the Pangloss Candide remembers.
How so?
He's a beggar, covered in sores, nose half eaten away, lost an eye, an ear. He's barely recognizable.
Good grief, what happened to him?
Syphilis. Caught it from Paquette, the chambermaid back at the castle.
The one he was giving the experimental philosophy lesson to.
The very same. But here's the truly mind-boggling part.
Go on.
Pangloss, even in this horrific state, still insists everything is for the best.
You're kidding. How does he justify this?
He gives this detailed genealogy of the disease, tracing it all the way back through Jesuits and Franciscans to one of Christopher Columbus's companions.
Okay, and the point is?
The point, according to Pangloss, is that this disease is a necessary part of the best of worlds. Because if Columbus hadn't brought syphilis back from the Americas...
Yes.
Well, then Europe wouldn't have gotten chocolate or cochineal dye.
He's connecting syphilis to chocolate.
Yes.
Seriously.
Seriously. It's Voltaire pushing the absurdity to the absolute limit. Pangloss argues that private misfortunes make for public benefits. His optimism is completely detached from his own suffering.
That's astounding.
And
the mental gymnastics are incredible.
It really shows how far someone will go to maintain their worldview, doesn't it? And guess who helps him out?
Let me guess. James the Anabaptist.
You got it. James, showing true compassion again, takes Pangloss in and pays for him to be cured, or, well, partly cured. He loses an eye and an ear permanently.
So James the Anabaptist is the recurring symbol of actual goodness.
Seems that way. While the philosopher ties himself in knots and the religious hypocrites preach, James just acts kindly.
Where do they go from there? James, Candide, and the somewhat repaired Pangloss.
James hires them both, and they set sail for Lisbon, but, their run of bad luck is far from over.
What happens in Lisbon?
Disaster. Pure, unadulterated disaster. As they arrive, a huge storm hits, their ship breaks apart.
Oh, no.
And then a massive earthquake devastates Lisbon. Thousands killed. The city is in ruins.
The Lisbon earthquake of 1755, that was a real event, a huge shock to Europe at the time.
Exactly. Voltaire is grounding the absurdity in real historical trauma. 30,000 people died. It really made people question that optimistic worldview. How could a good God allow this?
And what's Pangloss's take on a city being wiped out? Still for the best.
You guessed it. While James the Anabaptist drowns trying to save a sailor, Pangloss is busy explaining that the harbor of Lisbon was specifically formed so that James could drown in it.
That's cold. Even for him.
He argues it's all part of the necessary system. He even theorizes about a vein of sulfur running underground from Lima to Lisbon causing the quake. Anything to make it fit the plan.
It's almost like he can't allow things to be just random and terrible.
Precisely. But the local reaction is maybe even more chilling.
How so?
The sages of Lisbon, the Inquisition basically, decide the way to prevent more earthquakes is an auto de fe.
An auto de fe? What's that?
Literally act of faith, a public ceremony, which in this case means burning people alive.
Burning people. To stop earthquakes.
Yes. Voltaire is showing the horrifying results when dogma and superstition replace reason. They figure God must be angry, so a human sacrifice will appease him.
Who do they decide to burn?
It's completely arbitrary and absurd. A man from Biscay for marrying his godmother.
Okay.
2 Portuguese men whose crime was not eating bacon, implying they might secretly be Jewish.
This is insane.
Pangloss for having spoken his optimistic philosophy.
They burn him for being an optimist.
Or just for speaking freely, perhaps, and Candide. He gets flogged nearly to death just for listening to Pangloss with an air of application.
Just for seeming to agree.
Just for that. And the ultimate irony...
What?
Right after they finish the ceremony, another massive earthquake tremor hits the city.
Of course it does. It proves how utterly useless and barbaric the auto-da-fe was.
Exactly. It's a devastating critique of religious fanaticism and irrational responses to suffering. And this whole experience, it finally starts to crack Candide's inherited optimism.
This is where he really starts to doubt.
Yes. He's been beaten, seen war, seen hypocrisy, seen Pangloss suffer, seen James drown, seen an earthquake, been flogged, seen Pangloss hanged, or so he thinks, and now this. He finally asks that crucial question.
Which is?
If this is the best of all possible worlds, what on earth are the others like?
That's the core of it, isn't it? If this horror show is the peak, the best God could manage,
then the whole concept collapses. It's not just doubt anymore. It's a deep, aching wound in his understanding of the world. Can philosophy, any philosophy, really paper over this much pain?
It seems like Voltaire's answer is a resounding no.
I think so. At least not the kind of abstract, detached philosophy Pangloss represents.
So Candide is left beaten and disillusioned after the auto-da-fe. What happens next?
An old woman tends to his wounds, feeds him, and then leads him to a secret meeting.
With who?
With Cunegund. She's alive.
No way, after the massacre at the castle.
Miraculously, yes.
No.
But her story, it's just as horrific as Candide's experiences, maybe more so.
What did she go through?
She confirms, yes, the castle was attacked, her family killed, she was raped by a Bulgarian soldier, stabbed.
Horrible.
But she adds, with this chilling practicality, these 2 accidents do not always prove mortal.
Wow. That's some dark humor, or just grim resilience.
It really is. Her journey involved being claimed by the soldier, then sold to a Jewish merchant, Don Issachar. Sold. And then she catches the eye of the Grand Inquisitor himself, one of the guys who ordered the auto-da-fe.
The Inquisitor, so she's involved with him.
She ends up being shared between Don Issachar and the Grand Inquisitor. They each have specific days they're allowed to be with her.
That's just degrading. Awful.
It highlights the vulnerability and exploitation of women, another constant theme. Her survival is incredible, but look at the cost.
And then there's the old woman who helped Candide find her. She has a story too, doesn't she?
Oh, does she ever? Possibly the most shocking story in the whole book.
Really? What is it?
She reveals she's not just some random old woman. She's the daughter of a Pope Urban X, and a princess.
Daughter of a pope. How was that?
Voltaire playing fast and loose with history, but making a point about hypocrisy even at the highest levels. But her life story is just one catastrophe after another.
Like what?
Fiancé poisoned on their wedding day, captured by pirates, subjected to a very invasive search for hidden diamonds.
Oh, God.
Sold into slavery multiple times across North Africa and Turkey, witnessed incredible violence, and then the siege.
What happened at the siege?
They were starving. The Janissaries holding the fortress decided to supplement their rations.
That's daunting.
They cut off 1 buttock from each of the women to eat, including her.
What? That's grotesquely specific and horrifying.
It is. And she survives that, survives plague, ends up working in brothels, sold again and again. Her life is just an unbelievable catalog of suffering.
How does she even cope?
That's what's so powerful. Despite everything, she says, I have been 100 times upon the point of killing myself, but still I was fond of life.
She still wanted to live after all that.
Yes. And she challenges Candide and Cunegund. Find one person on their ship who hasn't, at some point, cursed their existence or thought life wasn't worth living. She suggests this deep suffering is almost universal.
That's such a contrast to Pangloss, isn't it? He rationalizes suffering from a distance. She's lived it intimately and still clings to life itself.
Exactly. It's the voice of raw, lived experience versus abstract theory. Her resilience, or maybe just her stubborn refusal to die, is incredibly profound. It complicates the simple pessimism versus optimism debate.
Look, so after escaping Lisbon, and Candide killing both Don Issachar and the Grand Inquisitor to rescue Cunegund.
A busy night for Candide.
Yeah. Where do they end up next? Their journey seems relentless.
It really is. They travel with the old woman, lose Cunegund's jewels, head to South America. Candide has to flee again, separates from Cunegund. It's a whirlwind. But eventually, he and his new valet, Cacambo, stumble somewhere incredible.
Where's that?
El Dorado, the legendary lost city of gold.
El Dorado. To live up to the legend.
And then some. It's literally paved with gold and jewels. Kids are playing with emeralds and rubies like they're just ordinary pebbles.
Wow. So it's a utopia.
Absolutely. This is Voltaire finally showing us what a truly best world could look like. There are no courts, no prisons, because there's no crime.
Why no crime?
Everyone seems content, reasonable. There's no greed because wealth is meaningless when it's everywhere. There are no religious arguments either.
No religious strife.
Everyone is basically of one opinion. They all believe in God and just give thanks. No dogma, no priests arguing, just gratitude. They also have amazing scientific knowledge, beautiful public buildings. It's perfect.
Okay, this sounds like the place Candide should stay forever, right? After everything he's been through.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
He's found the literal best of all possible worlds. Peace, plenty, reason, kindness.
But, I sense a but.
But he decides to leave.
He leaves El Dorado. Why on earth would he do that?
It's one of the most fascinating parts of the book. He wants to go back and find Cunegund. He still pictures her as this ideal beauty.
Still chasing that romantic ideal.
Exactly. And they get this idea, if they could just take some of these pebbles, the golden jewels, back to Europe.
Yes.
They could be richer than all the kings combined. They could buy Cunegund, buy a kingdom. It's the European mindset creeping back in. Greed, status.
So even when presented with actual utopia, they choose to chase the idea of wealth and power back in the flawed old world.
Pretty much. It says a lot about human nature, or at least the European values Voltaire was critiquing. They can't just be happy in paradise. They need to possess things and impress others.
And does taking the treasure work out well for them?
Not really. The king of El Dorado helps them load up 102 sheep with vast amounts of gold and jewels. But the journey out is incredibly difficult.
They lose the sheep.
They lose almost all of them. Down cliffs and rivers, stolen. By the time Candide reaches Suriname, he's only got 2 sheep left. It shows how fragile that kind of wealth is when faced with the harsh realities outside El Dorado. Easy come, easy go.
So the descent from utopia is immediate and costly. And what happens in Suriname? You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, Suriname is where he has that absolutely devastating encounter. The one that truly breaks his optimism.
The enslaved man.
The enslaved Negro, yes. Missing his left leg and his right hand.
And Candide asks him what happened.
Right. And the man explains, with this horrifying calm, that his hand was cut off when he caught his finger in the sugar mill machinery. And his leg was cut off because he tried to run away.
Just punishment for trying to escape slavery.
Exactly. And then he delivers that killer line, "It is at this price that you eat sugar in Europe."
Oh, wow. That hits hard. Directly connecting European comfort and luxury to the brutal suffering of enslaved people.
It's arguably the most powerful moment of social commentary in the book. It makes the cruelty undeniable and directly implicates the reader, especially the European reader of Voltaire's time.
And this is the moment for Candide.
This is the breaking point. He cries out, "Oh, Pangloss, such horrid doings never entered thy imagination. Here is an end of the matter. I find myself, after all, obliged to renounce thy optimism."
He finally says it. Renounces optimism. Not just doubts, but rejects it.
Fully rejects it. The lived reality of this one-man suffering completely demolishes the abstract theory.
So if he's rejected optimism, what philosophy does he turn to next? Does he just become cynical?
He needs a new companion, a new philosophical guide, in a way, so he holds a contest to find the most unhappy man in the province to travel with him.
Seriously, he wants the most miserable guy around.
Yes, figuring that person would at least be honest about the state of the world. And he finds Martin.
Who is Martin?
Martin is basically a Manichaean. He believes the world isn't governed by a solely good God, but is instead a battleground between good and evil, or maybe just abandoned entirely to some malignant being.
So the complete opposite of Pangloss.
Yeah.
He sees evil everywhere.
Pretty much. He's seen and experienced so much betrayal and injustice that he believes humans are inherently wicked and the world is fundamentally a place of suffering. He's the arch-pessimist to Pangloss's arch-optimist.
So Candide goes from one extreme to the other.
In terms of companions, yes, their conversations become these ongoing debates. Candide still sometimes clings to a shred of hope. Maybe finding Cunegund will make him happy, while Martin just constantly points out the evidence for universal misery.
It's like he's swapped one rigid system for another.
In a way, yes. Martin's pessimism is just as absolute as Pangloss's optimism was. Voltaire seems critical of any all-encompassing rigid system.
Where do Candide and Martin travel? Does Martin's view get reinforced?
Oh, absolutely. They head towards Europe. They see a naval battle where ships destroy each other for no apparent reason. They go to Paris.
Paris. City of light.
City of cons, more like, in Voltaire's telling. Candide gets sick, and doctors immediately squabble over him, likely more interested in his money. He meets abbés who try to trick him.
So corruption among the clergy and professionals.
Right. He gets drawn into the superficial literary scene where critics just tear each other down. He meets a marquise who very smoothly cheats him out of diamonds at cards. It's all vanity, greed, and deception.
Doesn't sound like Paris is improving his view of humanity.
Not at all. It just confirms Martin's bleak outlook. Then they head to England.
What do they find there?
They arrive just in time to witness the execution of a British admiral by firing squad on his own ship's deck.
Why was he executed?
For not killing enough of the enemy. Basically for not being aggressive enough in a battle. Candide is horrified, but someone explains it's necessary to encourage the others.
Execute one admiral to motivate the rest. That's brutal logic.
Martin just dryly observes that the English find it necessary to shoot an admiral now and then. He sees it as typical of the world's madness.
So everywhere they go, France, England, it's just more evidence for Martin's pessimism. War, greed, hypocrisy, absurd cruelty.
It's relentless. Voltaire seems determined to show that the old world is fundamentally flawed no matter which country you visit.
Candide must be really struggling by this point. He's renounced optimism, but Martin's constant negativity can't be easy either.
No, he still seems to hold on to this one hope. Finding Cunegund. That maybe, just maybe, personal happiness is possible even if the world is terrible.
Does he get closer to finding her?
They end up in Venice during Carnival. And who should they run into there?
More characters from the past.
Yes. Paquette, the former chambermaid who gave Pangloss syphilis.
Oh, right.
And Friar Girifoli, a monk Candide had met earlier. Candide had actually given them a lot of money previously, hoping to make them happy.
And did it work? Are they happy?
Not in the slightest. They quickly spent all the money and are just as miserable, maybe even more so than before. Paquette is still a prostitute. Girifoli still hates being a monk.
So money didn't solve their problems?
Nope. Martin basically says, I told you so, reminding Candide he predicted the money might just make them more wretched. It reinforces the idea that happiness isn't just about external circumstances.
Is there anyone happy in Venice?
Well, they visit a senator named Pococurante. He's incredibly wealthy, lives in a magnificent palace surrounded by art, books, music, beautiful women.
Sounds like he should be happy. The ideal life.
You'd think. But he's completely bored and critical of everything. He finds fault with Raphael's paintings, dismisses Homer, finds Virgil tedious, thinks Horace is okay but not great, can't stand Milton, nothing pleases him.
He is everything but enjoys nothing.
Exactly. He's suffering from ennui, a kind of profound boredom and dissatisfaction that comes from having too much, perhaps. Martin observes quite acutely, there is pleasure in having no pleasure.
Wow. So even wealth and culture don't guarantee happiness. It's another dead end.
It really challenges that idea. Maybe happiness isn't about acquisition at all.
And Venice holds yet another surprise, doesn't it? The dinner party.
Ah, yes, the famous supper with the 6 dethroned kings. Candide and Martin end up dining with 6 men who were all monarchs but have lost their thrones. Achmet III, Ivan of Russia, Charles Edward Stuart.
Kings in exile.
Yeah.
All together.
All sharing a meal in a Venetian inn during Carnival, lamenting their lost kingdoms. It's surreal.
What's the point of bringing all these historical figures together?
It powerfully underlines the theme of fortune's instability. Even kings aren't safe from disaster and exile. Power and status are fleeting. Candide, bless his heart, gives the poorest one, Theodore of Corsica, a diamond.
He's still generous, despite everything.
He is. But the encounter reinforces the idea that suffering and misfortune are universal, reaching even the highest ranks.
Okay, so after all this, Candide finally gets news of Cunegund.
Yes, his valet, Cacambo, finally reappears.
Yeah.
He found Cunegund.
Is she okay? Is she still beautiful? He's been holding on to that image.
Cacambo delivers the news bluntly. Cunegund is currently enslaved, washing dishes for a deposed prince in Constantinople.
Enslaved? Oh, no.
She's become horribly ugly, wrinkled, haggard, bad-tempered.
Oh, wow. That's the ultimate demolition of his romantic ideal, isn't it?
Completely. The beautiful maiden he's been chasing across the world is gone, replaced by harsh reality.
What does Candide do? Does he give up on her now?
No. To his credit, he says he must ransom her out of duty and honor, even though the thought of marrying her now fills him with horror. He's still bound by his word, perhaps.
So he goes to Constantinople, and then more impossible reunions.
The most impossible yet. On the galley ship heading to Constantinople, who does Candide see among the slaves rowing?
Let me guess. Pangloss.
That
he was hanged.
Pangloss.
Yeah.
And the Baron, Cunegund's brother, whom Candide thought he'd killed back in South America.
Both alive and galley slaves.
How their survival stories are peak Voltairean absurdity. Pangloss wasn't hanged properly. The rope was wet. He survived. A surgeon bought his body for dissection.
For dissection.
Yes, but as the surgeon made the first cut, Pangloss woke up screaming.
Unbelievable.
And the Baron. Candide's sword thrust wasn't fatal. He recovered, got involved in some political intrigue, and ended up a galley slave for, well, bathing naked with a young Muslim man.
Good grief. Their lives are just one insane twist after another.
It really stretches credulity, but it serves Voltaire's purpose, bringing everyone back for the finale and showing how people can endure almost anything.
And Pangloss, after being hanged, dissected, and enslaved. Surely now he's given up on optimism.
You would think. Candide asks him straight out if he still believes everything is for the best. Pangloss replies, "I have always abided by my first opinion. For, after all, I am a philosopher. It would not become me to retract my sentiments." He still clings to it. He says Leibniz couldn't possibly be wrong.
That's pathologically stubborn. Or maybe a comment on how intellectuals can refuse to change their minds no matter the evidence.
I think that's exactly it. The commitment to the system overrides lived reality. Pangloss is almost a tragic figure in his refusal to see what's right in front of him.
So they rescue Pangloss and the Baron. They find Cunegund, who is indeed terribly changed. What happens then? They have the money from El Dorado's remaining sheep. Do they finally find happiness?
They buy a small farm near Constantinople. The whole motley crew is finally together. Candide, Cunegund, the old woman, Pangloss, Martin, Cacambo, Paquette, Friar Giroflée, the Baron.
The whole cast. So this is the happy ending. They settle down.
Well, they settle down. But happy. Not exactly. They're all intensely bored and miserable.
Bored. After all that adventure and suffering.
Apparently, yes. Cunegund is ugly and becomes shrewish. Cacambo hates the farm work. Pangloss despairs because he can't philosophize at a prestigious German university. Martin is resigned to things being bad. Nobody is content.
So getting everything they thought they wanted, safety, reunion, resources, didn't actually bring happiness.
Not at all. It leads the old woman to ask that grand question.
Right, which is worse.
All the terrible things they went through before, OR, just sitting around on the farm doing nothing, being bored and miserable.
That's a tough question. Is endless suffering better than crushing boredom?
It really makes you think about what constitutes a good life. Is it excitement, even painful excitement, or just existence?
Do they find an answer? They seek more advice, don't they?
They do. They go to consult a famous dervish, considered very wise.
And what wisdom does he offer?
He basically tells them to shut up and stop bothering him with pointless questions.
Seriously?
Yes. They ask about the nature of evil and why the world is the way it is, and he says, "Why do you trouble your head about it? Is it any business of yours?" When they press him, he compares the world to a sultan's ship. Does the sultan care about the comfort of the rats in the hold? Then he slams the door in their faces.
Wow. So a complete dismissal of philosophical speculation. Don't ask why, basically.
It's a radical shift. Forget grand theories about the universe. They're useless and maybe none of our business anyway.
Is that the final word? Just silence?
Almost. They then meet a simple old Turkish man who seems genuinely content.
What's his secret?
He cultivates his small farm, just 20 acres, with his children. He tells them this work keeps them away from the three great evils: idleness, vice, and want. He doesn't concern himself with politics or news from the capital. He just tends his land.
Simple, practical work. That's his key.
That seems to be the example Voltaire offers. Contentment found not in philosophy or wealth or adventure, but in productive labor focused on immediate surroundings.
And this leads to the very famous final lines.
Right. Pangloss, ever the theorist, starts rambling again, trying to link all their horrible experiences, syphilis, earthquakes, slavery, into one grand concatenation of events that logically had to lead them to this happy moment of eating candied citrons on the farm.
He just can't let it go. Still trying to make it all make sense for the best.
Never. But Candide cuts him off. He simply says,
Il faut cultiver notre jardin. We must cultivate our garden.
Exactly. And Martin the pessimist agrees. Let us work without reasoning. It is the only way to render life supportable.
So, cultivate our garden. What do you think that really means? For Candide, and maybe for us, the listeners.
That's the brilliant ambiguity, isn't it? Is it a resignation, a turning away from big questions because they're unanswerable or just lead to misery?
Or is it something more positive, like finding meaning in tangible work, in improving your own small corner of the world, rather than getting lost in abstract theories or chasing grand illusions?
Could be both. It might be an embrace of practical action over passive speculation. Maybe it's about focusing on what you can control, however small, as an antidote to the chaos and suffering you can't control.
So stop trying to understand the whole messed up universe. Stop arguing about whether it's the best or worst possible world and just tend to your own patch. Get your hands dirty.
That seems to be the final pragmatic wisdom Candide arrives at. It might not be intellectually grand, but perhaps it's the only way, as Martin says, to make life bearable in a world that often seems utterly indifferent to our philosophies and our suffering. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What does cultivating your garden look like?